This, to me, is on Zach Wilson, his group, all of the above. I am blaming Zach Wilson for his ultimate failures and being a bust that he has been since being drafted number 2 overall a few years ago.
You see, to me, there's the organizational failure stuff, which we've been through many times as Jet fans. Draft the wrong guy, hire the wrong coach, don't provide, said quarterback with weapons or offensive line. That's football stuff. Why? I believe it's more the team. And I'm not here to exonerate Zach. He didn't play well. We all know that, right? But to me, the problem with the Jets is that they failed him on a personal level too, which is really hard to do from an NFL team point of view. Again, a lot of teams draft the wrong people. The Jets, between the constant yo-yoing of he's playing, he's not, I know I've said this a lot, that it gets old, but the Mike White T-shirt stuff, that was a big thing to me. That was a foreshadow of how clueless the head coach was in terms of protecting his precocious, vulnerable quarterback. And then even, what was that, about a month or so ago? He went on a radio show, I plead the fifth. They disrespected Wilson. And I can unpack the two like...
But BT,
yeah.
This isn't Little League. This isn't
I understand
Pop Warner.
that.
This is the NF freaking out.
I got you.
They gave him an opportunity that he failed to do anything with. And then he looked like a deer in headlights, looked like a little baby, lacked accountability the first couple of years. Last year after the New England game, which was a disaster, blaming everybody else but himself. It has been one thing after another. Oh, by the way, not to mention his actual play on the field, which has sucked. Yeah, dragging him back, making him the starter, putting him in the third string, all those different things. You can argue whether those were the right moves or wrong moves. Ultimately, this is a quarterback who's supposed to be in the NFL, being in command of a team. He's never been. He's never read the field the right way. He's never made the right decision. Never had command of the locker room. Lacked accountability. And while he may have shown minimal signs of growth this year, now something like this comes out yesterday that, again, I don't want to play. Whether it's his agent or him, unacceptable. This is on Zach Wilson. The Jets have failed miserably as an organization for years, for decades, whatever you want to say. The Zach Wilson experiment failed because of Zach Wilson.
But you see, think about this. When you talk about where we are now, I mean, just realize where we are. We are in the midst of a discussion in New York City about whether or not an athlete making $1 gazillion wants to play. That is different than having the conversation, should they run it back with Zach as the backup? Is there any upside? Can you fix him? Nobody's wasting time on that. It's over for Zach Wilson here. To me, it's deeper. I mean, this is, Sal, I mean, they always say you're going to see something you've never seen before, right? I mean, you got the head coach and, a radio legend sending each other text messages. It's an absolute circus, which is why I'm just, and again, I'm not exonerating Zach, but I'm going above where I've got to go to the source of where it broke. What's the root of the foundational issue with the New York Jets and this situation? And again, absolutely, Zach messed up several times. Not taking the blame with the Patriots, you referenced that. Not playing well. I got it. But to me, there's got to be, big boy checkpoints at the highest level of the franchise. Zach is still a young kid. He's gone next year. The ship has sailed. He's got talent. Ain't working. Never will. Gone. But that's not what we're talking about. We're trying to find out, how did this unravel to this point? And to me, it's on the Jets. The Jets are a disgrace. I mean, honestly, Joe Douglas, we can sit here and say, all the things that he did wrong. And there are a lot of things that he also did right? But Joe Douglas, just on the most basic principles, failed his quarterback. He failed them. But the head coach, it seeped into a personal level. To me, it really did. Robert Salehs should be ashamed of himself. It's Robert Saleh's fault.
But if Zach Wilson could play, this wouldn't be an issue.
I understand that, but that's not why I'm debating the merits of whether or not he can play. He can't play here. It's over.
He had 3 years, and that's why it's on him. So we sit there and say, Like, do you think the Houston Texans have a great organization? We used this example yesterday. You think that they were well-run, respected around the league as a model franchise in the NFL, the Houston Texans?
A lot more than the Jets. My answer is probably more. It's yes.
Well, more than the Jets. The answer should be no.
But
it's
not really.
Their owner was ripped apart left and right. Deshaun Watson wanted to leave. The guy was being called a racist at certain points.
Well, I'm not talking about the racist stuff, but before Watson got pinched for whatever he got pinched for or whatever. Yeah. They were basically always a playoff team.
Look at the hires that they made. Yeah, Bill O'Brien got into the postseason.
I mean, they were a playoff team.
But that's going back a little years. In recent memory, since Bill O'Brien, the way that he went out, the way that it's been there, the Texans have been a laughingstock. Anyway, you could debate how bad they are, and I'm not comparing them to the Jets necessarily, saying that they're that level of ineptitude, but they are not looked at as a model franchise. Yet they draft or hire a rookie head coach, first-time head coach, defensive guy, draft a kid number 2. He's a stud. All of a sudden, we look at the Houston Texans like, hey, they know what they're doing. But the reality is, it's the quarterback. Zach Wilson had that same opportunity that C.J. Stroud had. Guess what he did with it? Nothing. Squat. He failed miserably. And not only did he fail miserably on the field, he failed off of it as well.
I agree.
Immature.
I agree.
Not all those different things. So this is on Zach. And then this stuff, BT, like, there's no excuse. Again, we used this example yesterday. We referenced it, whether it's what we do, what others do. Like, in life, if you get an opportunity, you may be wronged 10 times over, 100 times over. Wrong. If you get an opportunity after you feel like you've been wronged, you don't punch back and say, well, I don't want to do it. Whether it's your agents or whatever. You do it. You take advantage of the opportunity. You do the best you can, and then you move on. Zach failed to do that. To me, this mess is on him.
But, okay, here's where I think we're splintering off in a different direction, because I'm largely with you. I'm not even defending Zach. I'm really not. He played poorly. There was immaturity. Not the guy. Time to move on, no matter what Rodgers thinks, no matter what Rodgers says. Zach Wilson will be gone next year. Okay, unless there's a new coaching staff who says, I actually like this kid, and I know how to coach offense, and I will actually make him good. But if Salehs still the coach, then he's got to go. We understand that. I'm not talking about the 3 years of Zach's play. What I am certainly saying is that the more responsibility you have, the more we expect you to do your job. And I understand the Texans comparison, and listen, their young quarterback is simply just better. But I also know that his start was not sabotaged by a coach who seems clueless and a GM who is not nearly as good as we thought. Like, those are two different things. I know Zach hasn't gotten the job done. I know that. But this is just beyond description. This is pathetic. I mean, there's more talk about Robert Saleh and Joe Beningo than offensive concepts with the Jets. Now, you tell me what's more fundamentally broken. Honestly, think about it. The coach is so lost that he feels the need to run things by Joe Beningo. And we love Joe. Saleh should never talk to Joe. You want to play golf with Joe? Hit him straight, buddy. Where's the car girl? Beers or car person? Beers on me. I got you. Game start. Stop talking to Joe. And he talks to Joe because he's lost. He has no idea what to do, no idea how to communicate. He talks too much. It's funny. His text message, I can only imagine what this chain looks like, dude. Are there emojis? Are there curses? I would pay money. I would pay big money to see this. But the amount of time that he spends...
Well, you may not have to. Joe, give Joe a few minutes. Give him a drink. He'll tell you the whole thing.
You can do podcast.
He'll start texting you screenshots of it.
Yeah. Forget all the pain podcasts. It's going to be Joe, I read Coach Saleh's text podcast. But think about this. He has wasted so much energy, Saleh, texting to Joe, who, like you and like me, does not matter on game day. Does not matter once practice starts. None of us do. We might think we do. We don't. And
by the way, we talked about this months ago.
I know we did.
Come on.
Yeah, we did. And that's a foreshadow to me. Like, his willingness to engage Joe also comes out when he speaks at a podium. He says too much. He doesn't know how to, reposition and pivot and just cut questions off and end it. He's too nice. But you know who he hasn't been nice to? His quarterback, who he's ruined. He is ruined. Now, Zach's culpable. Please hear me. They have ruined Zach. And number one, even more than Douglas, is the coach who's embarrassed him and yo-yoed him unnecessarily.
Brandon Tierney, Salicata on the Fan. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Ian is calling from Monmouth County. What's up, Ian?
Hey, guys. Yeah, thanks for taking the call. So, BT, I love the passion. I've called him before. I appreciate your passion. And my whole thing with Saleh, and I hope you agree, or I think you might agree, is it's so frustrating over the years with the Jets. It's like when a coach is up at the podium, I don't want to hear things like, well, we got to do better. Well, we got to figure it out.
Ugh.
Week after week, I guess I'm just like, in any other profession, that's not acceptable. It's like, okay, well, that's the goal. The goal is to figure it out, but tell me how you're going to figure it out. And if you don't want to give away secrets to the opponents in your press conferences, but you need to be able to articulate, okay, well, this is what was wrong.
Yep.
And this is how we're going to correct it. And then in practice, you got to push the guys like, listen, if the guys are not performing, okay, then that's on you, man. Like, you got to do better.
100%.
And really, that's my only point. It's just incredibly frustrating that week after week, and maybe even year after year. It's like, this is an NFL organization. How on earth is that acceptable?
It shouldn't be. That's why I'm yelling today. Sal, think about this. Compare and contrast for a moment Saleh and Dable after a game, at practice, at the microphone. You know who's a whole lot better? It's Dable. Says nothing. Yeah. Says nothing.
Yeah, I'm not going to dispute who's better there. What I'm saying
not
is
talking about coaching.
Right.
Just avoiding these little pitfalls of controversy. You say nothing. Now, we might want more. It might piss us off like Belichick. But when you say nothing, you create nothing.
Right. But if the quarterback was competent, was a mature adult, was somebody who could play in the NFL at a competent level, this would be a non-issue.
Okay, but I'm going to push back on that as well. Think about the public missteps the Jets have made. I'm not talking about Zach organizationally. Publicly, the Mike White shirts, month ago going on another radio show.
That was fair.
I know, because he can't play.
Well, no, it started because of Zach's ineptitude.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because Zach's not playing well.
Well, not even just playing well. The guys didn't respect him.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
They didn't respect BT. He's like, at some point we do, and I understand what you're saying. Like, at some point we got to treat him like an actual man. We treat him like a kid. It's like, oh, poor little Zach Wilson, drafted BYU small school, got the baby face, and he's young, and maybe one day he'll get it. Like, this is year 3 in the NFL.
Correct.
And even if I say, all right, let's agree to forget about everything that's happened prior. His crappy play, the poor attitude, lack of accountability, immaturity, all that stuff. Let's forget about everything until yesterday. The Jets say to Zach Wilson, we want you to be our starting quarterback again. And he or his agents or whatever, however it gets out, somewhere, somebody said, I'm not sure I want to do that. That's it. End of game. Like, we thought he matured. You can't ever in life get to that point and think like you've learned from your mistakes and grown. If they say you're our starting quarterback next week, you say, let's bleeping go. Not, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do it or not. So, like, it should end there. That's on Zach.
I'm with you, and that's where I am torn, because as much as I'm, really dumping this much more at the doorstep of Saleh than Wilson, big picture. I don't mean just play, because I'm not saying Zach's been good. You answer the bell. And you answer the bell for the brothers in the locker room, even if you can't stand your coach. But this is a little different because a lot of times, too often during Zach's career, his brothers in the locker room have abandoned him. So conceptually, Sal, I'm totally with you. Hey, you want to get on the air and be on from 6A to 6P, which is the desirable slot in radio? Then you go on at 3 a.m. when you're 25 years old and somebody gives you a chance. Here's a microphone. Go prove yourself.
Right.
Go show us what you got. You do it. You keep your mouth shut, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you keep doing it.
Christmas Eve, New Year's,
which we all
whatever
did.
it may be. That is correct.
Sal's right.
Whatever it may be.
Yep.
You do it.
Yeah, and if you got to get in your car to go to different states and small markets, you do it. If you want to eventually get back, you do it. But when half the team is flailing their arms during the game and mocking you and talking smack about you, and your head coach is treating you like a human yo-yo, while I would still play, I would absolutely play, and it's a bad look for Zach. I can understand on a human level, not a professional level, on a human level where he's saying, you know what, up yours. Screw all of you. I'm out of here. You ruined me. Go suck it. I'm done with you. Honestly.
Brian,
and I wouldn't begrudge him for that.
Brian is calling from Millburn, New Jersey. What's up, Brian?
Hey, how you doing? I'm a big fan of yours. Hey, BT, I want to ask you a big question.
Yes, sir.
A good question, sir.
Okay.
Why do you feel that it's Robert Saleh's fault? We all have bosses, and from day one, I've been listening to this for the last 2-3 years. I'm a 49er fan.
Okay.
But I always listen to y'all. I'm a big fan of yours.
Thank
I've
you.
been listening to this for the last 3 years, well long Zach been there. Don't you think Woody got a lot to do with what's going on? And yeah, if I was Zach, I'd be fed up with it. But you're making $30-something million. You're a quarterback of the New York Jets, 32 jobs in the world that people can't even get. And you say you don't want to play? Maybe that's the reason why people don't back you.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, in this world we live in,
Yep.
we got to get up, tie, put our pants on, put our boots on, and go to work and make sure we go get it.
Right.
To prove ourselves. That it doesn't change because you from Utah or you born with a silver spoon in your mouth. Don't nobody owe you nothing. Here.
First of all,
Amen, Brian.
No, don't hang up on him.
Okay.
Brian,
Okay.
what you just said, Brian, hold on a sec, bud. What you just said, I couldn't agree more. I mean, that is incredibly well articulated, and I would think what Brian just said represents what 99.999% of us in this area believe, subscribe to, and really try to do every day. I'm with you, bro. I'm
Should
with
be
you.
100%.
It should be, but it's not. You know that. I'm with you. But let me ask you this. Do we know? Sal doesn't know. I don't know. Brian from Millburn doesn't know. Do we know for sure that it was Zach's camp? Or is it possibly, just possibly, the Jets trying to make him look bad? Incorporate
but it had
everything.
it had to come from somewhere.
I understand
Got to
that.
come from somewhere, PG.
No, I got you, man. I got you.
Got to come from somewhere.
Thank
I
you,
agree.
Brian.
Good call, man.
Listen.
Yeah.
Be blunt with both of y'all. I know he wanted a head coach job. I wanted him to stay my defensive coordinator. I did not want him to take the Jets job because you know why?
You knew
I
he was
know
going to fail.
Woody's there, and something's going to go awry. Something's going to go wrong, and he's going to be looking like a clown. See, the reason why Saleh's keeping his mouth shut and he's not really saying things like he really want to say it because he don't want to ruin his chance to get another job somewhere else. And you know once you disrespect the good old boy club or just reveal a little bit too much by the owner here or there, now you'll probably be blanked out of blackball. Nobody else want to hire you. That's the real reason why this is going on. It's real between the lines, y'all.
He'll get-
You know he don't want Zach Wilson. You know he don't want this, but he don't want to say his mouth too much because, hey, you know you're going to lose the job with this job, but he want to get another job eventually.
Good call, Brian. We
That
appreciate
is-
the
that's a good
passion
call.
and the support.
Thank you, bub.
Look, he's not going to get another head coaching job after this. He'll be fine as far as getting another coordinator's job. But, I mean, I could understand if you didn't want Robert Saleh to get it. Coming to the Jets in this situation, not exactly set up to succeed, but then he had the quarterback picked for him, and Zach Wilson didn't do his part.